"Mother Isabella, you've captured me so beautifully," Camille said, smiling at her portrait. What she didn't see was the hidden camera lens I'd painted into the ornate frame. For 6 months, my daughter-in-law posed in my studio, believing she was my muse. For 6 months, I documented every Tuesday afternoon she spent with my gardener in the greenhouse, while my son worked late at the hospital. 47 portraits, 47 painting sessions, and one exhibition that would destroy her carefully constructed lies. You see, I'm not just a portrait artist. I'm Isabella Moreau. I spent 40 years painting what people try to hide. And tonight, at the gallery opening, everyone would finally see what I saw. My name is Isabella Moreau. I'm 68 years old. I've been a portrait artist for 45 years, and I've learned that faces lie. But paintings tell the truth. My studio sits at the back of my property, converted greenhouse with north-facing windows that provide perfect natural light. From my easel, I can see the rose garden, the fountain, and the smaller greenhouse where Marcus, my gardener, tends to the orchids. I've lived in this house for 40 years. My husband died 5 years ago. My son Adrian is a cardiac surgeon who works 80-hour weeks at the hospital. And Camille, beautiful, charming Camille, has been his wife for 3 years. I never trusted her. There was something too practiced about her smile, too rehearsed about her concern. "Mother Isabella, you shouldn't be alone," she'd say. "Let me visit more often, but I'm an artist." I observe. I notice things others miss, like how her eyes never quite met mine when she talked about Adrian. Like how she always wore different perfume on Tuesdays, like how she checked her phone obsessively when she thought I wasn't looking. 6 months ago, I discovered why. I was painting roses by my studio window when I saw them, Camille and Marcus, through the greenhouse glass. At first, I thought I was mistaken. Marcus was 35, handsome in that rough-edged way gardeners are. Surely Camille wouldn't. But then I saw her kiss him. Then I saw her laugh the way she used to laugh with Adrian before his career consumed him. Then I watched her spend an hour with Marcus doing things a wife should only do with her husband. I could have confronted her. I could have called Adrian immediately. But I'm an artist, and artists don't just react. We create. So I invited Camille to pose for me. A gift for Adrian, I told her over the phone. A portrait series. Something he can hang in his office. A reminder of his beautiful wife waiting at home. She agreed immediately. Even seemed excited. "Oh, Mother Isabella, that's so thoughtful. When should we start?" "Tuesday afternoons," I said carefully. 2 o'clock, 2-hour sessions. "Perfect," she replied, not realizing I just scheduled her portrait sessions during her usual affair times. The first session, she arrived in a blue silk dress, her hair perfectly styled. "How should I pose?" she asked, all innocence and grace. "Just sit naturally," I said, positioning her chair so I could see both her face and the greenhouse window behind her. "Pretend I'm not here. Just be yourself." She smiled that practice smile and settled in. While she posed, I painted. And while I painted, I watched. 20 minutes into the session, Marcus walked past the studio window. Camille's eyes followed him, just for a second, just long enough for her smile to falter. I captured that moment, that tiny crack in her perfect facade. "You're very still," I commented, not looking up from my canvas. "Most people fidget." "I used to model," she said. "In college. I'm used to holding poses." "Ah," I replied. "That explains your comfort with being observed." She didn't catch the irony. After the first session, I did something I'd never done before. I installed a small camera in my studio, hidden in the decorative molding, angled to capture both the studio and the greenhouse beyond. Because I'm an artist, but I'm also a mother, and mothers protect their children, even when their children are 35-year-old surgeons too blind to see what's happening in their own marriage. The second session, Camille wore green. "Adrian loves this color," she said. "Does he?" I asked, mixing paint. "When was the last time he told you that?" Her smile tightened. "He's very busy at the hospital." "Yes," I agreed. "Saving lives is time-consuming work. It must be lonely for you." "I manage," she said. At 2:45, exactly on schedule, Marcus appeared in the greenhouse. Camille's phone buzzed. She glanced at it. "Excuse me, Mother Isabella, I need to use the restroom." "Of course, dear. Take your time." She was gone for exactly 18 minutes. When she returned, her lipstick was smudged, and there was a smudge of potting soil on her green dress. I painted the smudge, captured it perfectly. In my portrait, it looked like a shadow, but I knew the truth. By the third session, I developed a system. I painted 2 versions of each portrait. The public one, beautiful and flattering, which I showed Camille, and the private one, painted after she left, which captured what I'd seen through the greenhouse window. Portrait 3, Camille in red, smiling. But in the window reflection behind her, barely visible unless you knew to look, 2 figures embracing. Portrait 7, Camille in white, radiant. But the necklace she wore wasn't the one Adrian had given her. It was something else, something new, something Marcus gave her, I discovered later. Portrait 12, Camille in black, elegant, but her eyes were looking past me toward the greenhouse with an expression I'd never seen her give my son. "You're building quite a collection," my friend Margaret said when she visited my studio. Margaret ran the most prestigious gallery in the city. We'd known each other for 30 years. "A portrait series," I explained. "My daughter-in-law." Margaret studied the canvases. "They're beautiful, Isabella. There's something unsettling about them. I can't quite place it." "Look closer," I suggested. She did. Her eyes widened. "Isabella, are these evidence?" I finished. "Yes. What are you going to do?" "I'm going to paint the truth, and then I'm going to show it to the world." Margaret was quiet for a long moment. "When?" "When I have enough. When the collection is complete. When there's no possible way she can deny what's been happening under everyone's noses. And Adrian? Adrian will be hurt," I said quietly. "But better a clean wound that heals than an infected lie that festers." By portrait 25, Camille had become comfortable. Too comfortable. She started talking during sessions, complaining about Adrian's hours, his absence, his obsession with work. "He's never home," she said during one session. "I could disappear for days and he wouldn't notice." "That must be difficult," I said, painting the bitterness in her voice into the set of her jaw. "You understand," she continued. "You were married to a surgeon too. Did he ignore you the way Adrian ignores me?" "My husband made time for what mattered to him," I replied carefully. "I mattered to him." She didn't respond to that. By portrait 35, I had documented 22 greenhouse visits, 14 text message exchanges captured via camera, 8 separate articles of jewelry Marcus had given her, and countless small deceptions. But I needed something definitive, something undeniable. So I installed a camera in the greenhouse. The greenhouse camera was Margaret's idea. "You need incontrovertible proof," she said. "Portrait interpretations can be argued. Video cannot." She was right, though it felt like a betrayal of my art. But this wasn't about art anymore. This was about protecting my son. I installed it myself, a tiny camera hidden in the tropical fern display, angled to capture the entire space. Marcus never went near the ferns. He was allergic. The footage was devastating. Tuesday after Tuesday, the same pattern. Camille would arrive at my studio at 2 p.m., pose for 45 minutes, then excuse herself for her restroom break. She'd slip out the back, cross the garden, and disappear into the greenhouse with Marcus. What happened there wasn't just an affair. It was a relationship, tender, passionate, with all the intimacy that had drained from her marriage to Adrian. I watched Marcus touch her face the way Adrian used to. I watched Camille laugh with abandon the way she never laughed at home anymore. I watched them plan a future that didn't include my son. "When will you tell him?" Marcus asked in one video. "Soon," Camille replied, "after the inheritance." My blood ran cold. Inheritance? His mother is 68. The house alone is worth $2 million. Adrian is an only child. When she dies, everything goes to him, and as his wife. "How long do you think?" Camille shrugged. "She's healthy now, but she's old. 5 years? Maybe less if we're lucky." If we're lucky. They were waiting for me to die so they could inherit my property and be together openly. I saved that video. Then I painted portrait 36 with new eyes. Camille in gold, radiant and predatory. Her smile no longer beautiful, but calculating. "You're working faster now," Camille observed during session 40. "Getting tired of painting me?" "On the contrary," I said. "I'm capturing your truth. It takes less time when the subject reveals themselves fully." She laughed, not understanding. "You're mysterious today, Mother Isabella. Artists are always mysterious, dear. It's part of the job." After she left that day, I called Margaret. "I'm ready. Let's plan the exhibition. All 47 portraits, all 47, and one more. The 48th, the finale." Portrait 48 was different from all the others. It wasn't painted during a session with Camille posing in my studio. It was painted from memory, from observation, from 6 months of documented betrayal. In this portrait, Camille wasn't alone. Marcus stood behind her, his hand on her shoulder, both of them looking at something in the distance, my son's future, perhaps, or my death. Their expressions weren't loving, they were conspiratorial, and in the background, barely visible unless you knew to look, was a ghostly figure, me watching from my studio window, paintbrush in hand. "You're painting yourself into it?" Margaret asked when she saw the preliminary sketches. "The witness always becomes part of the story," I explained. "I'm not invisible, even when they pretended I was." The portrait took 3 weeks to complete. I worked in secret, covering it whenever Camille visited for her regular sessions. By portrait 47, 47, she had no idea what was coming. This is the last one, I told her during our final session. 47 portraits, a complete series. It's been lovely spending this time with you, Camille said, and I almost believed her sincerity. Almost. Yes, I agreed. Very revealing. After she left that final session, I uncovered Portrait 48 and added the final details. The greenhouse visible through a window in the painting. 2 figures embracing within it. Small enough that you'd need to look closely to see them. Large enough that once you saw them, you couldn't unsee them. Margaret came to view the completed collection the next day. She spent 2 hours walking through my studio, studying each portrait in order, watching the story unfold. Isabella, she said finally, this is your masterpiece, not just as paintings, as narrative, as testimony, as truth. Will the gallery show it? The gallery will be honored to show it. But Isabella, are you prepared for the consequences? This will destroy her. It may hurt Adrian terribly. Adrian is being destroyed slowly every day by her lies, I replied. This will hurt him quickly. Cleanly, and then he can heal. When? 3 weeks. The exhibition opens on their anniversary. 3 years of marriage. 47 portraits of betrayal. 1 portrait of truth. Poetic, Margaret said, and brutal. Art should be both. The invitations went out 2 weeks before the opening. Isabella Moreau, A Portrait Study in Truth, read the elegant script. 48 portraits exploring the hidden nature of identity. Adrian received his invitation at the hospital. He called me immediately, excited. Mom, this is wonderful. A whole exhibition of Camille? She'll be thrilled. Yes, I said carefully. I imagine she'll have quite a reaction. Can I see them before the opening? No, darling. Artist's prerogative. I want your first viewing to be at the gallery with proper lighting, the way they're meant to be seen. Camille called an hour later. Mother Isabella, I had no idea you were planning an exhibition. You should have told me. I wanted it to be a surprise, I said, which was true, if incomplete. 48 portraits? But we only did 47 sessions. The 48th is special. You'll see it at the opening. The day before the exhibition, Margaret and I hung the portraits in chronological order, creating a visual timeline around the gallery's main room. Portraits 1 to 47 formed a circle, each one beautiful, each one hiding its secret in plain sight. Portrait 48 hung alone in a smaller adjacent room, spotlit, waiting for viewers who'd completed the journey through the first 47. Last chance to back out, Margaret said as we finished. I'm an artist, I replied. I show what I see. That's the job. The opening was scheduled for 7 p.m. on Saturday, Adrian and Camille's anniversary. I arrived at 6 p.m. to find the gallery already buzzing with early guests, critics, collectors, and curious friends. By 7 p.m., the gallery was packed. 200 people sipping champagne, admiring the portraits, murmuring about the intimacy and psychological depth of the series. Adrian arrived at 7:15 with Camille. She wore white. Ironic, I thought. He wore his best suit, looking proud and tired. When he saw the portraits covering the walls, his face lit up. Mom, these are incredible. You've captured her so beautifully. I've captured her truthfully, I corrected gently. Camille stood frozen, staring at portrait 1. I watched her eyes move from painting to painting, starting to understand that each one contained more than she'd realized. Mother Isabella, she said slowly, you've painted me very specifically. Details matter in art, I replied. Would you like a tour? She began, but Adrian was already pulling her forward, excited to show her off to his colleagues. I watched them circle the room, Adrian beaming, Camille growing paler with each portrait. She was seeing what I'd hidden in plain sight, the reflections, the shadows, the objects that told the real story. By portrait 22, she'd stopped smiling. By portrait 35, she'd pulled away from Adrian's arm. By portrait 47, she knew. Where's the 48th? Someone asked. Margaret announced. The final portrait is in the adjacent room. Isabella, would you like to introduce it? The crowd hushed. This was the moment I'd been building toward for 6 months. The first 47 portraits, I said clearly, document observation. The 48th reveals truth. Please follow me. I led them into the smaller room. Adrian and Camille came last, Camille hanging back, already knowing, Adrian confused by her reluctance. The crowd fell silent as they saw Portrait 48, Camille and Marcus together, intimate, unmistakable, and in the background me, watching, witnessing, remembering. Jesus, someone whispered. Adrian stared at the painting, then at Camille, then back at the painting. Mom? His voice was small. Wounded. What is this? Truth, I said quietly. I'm sorry, darling, but you needed to see it. Camille's face had gone white. It's not. You can't. Can't what? I asked gently. Can't paint what I observed? Can't document what happened in my greenhouse every Tuesday for 6 months? Can't show the truth when I was asked to create art? You spied on me. I painted in my studio, I corrected. You chose to conduct an affair visible from my window. I chose to document it. Adrian stood absolutely still, processing. Around us, the gallery buzzed with shock and gossip. This would be the scandal of the season. Is it true? Adrian asked Camille, his voice breaking. Is any of this true? She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. Adrian, I can explain. Can you? He looked at her with devastating clarity. Can you explain 47 Tuesdays? Can you explain him? He gestured at Marcus in the painting. Can you explain waiting for my mother to die so you could inherit? Her face told him everything. Adrian turned to me. You knew for 6 months? Yes. Why didn't you tell me? Would you have believed me without proof? Would you have wanted to believe it? He was silent. Then, the paintings are proof? The paintings are testimony. I have video as well if you need it. I've documented everything. He nodded slowly, taking it in. Then he looked at Camille one last time. Get out. Out of this gallery. Out of my life. Out of my mother's house. Tonight. Adrian, get out! The crowd parted as Camille ran from the gallery, her white dress disappearing into the night. Adrian stood in front of portrait 48 for a long time. Finally, he turned to me. Thank you, he said quietly. It hurts. God, it hurts. But thank you for showing me the truth. I hugged my son while around us. The exhibition continued, now with a story that would be talked about for years. The exhibition ran for 6 weeks. Every showing was packed. Critics called it devastating testimony disguised as art and the most honest portrait series of the decade. 3 of the portraits sold to collectors. I donated the money to a foundation for betrayed spouses. Portrait 48, the finale, I gave to Adrian. Burn it, keep it, sell it, whatever helps you heal. He kept it. It's a reminder, he told me months later, to pay attention, to not let work consume me, to see what's in front of me. Camille divorced Adrian quietly. Marcus disappeared, fired and disgraced, last heard working on a farm in Oregon. Camille moved to another city, her reputation in ruins. Some called me cruel for exposing her so publicly. You destroyed that woman, a journalist said during an interview. I painted truth, I replied. She destroyed herself. Adrian took 6 months off work, something he'd never done. He stayed with me, healing. We painted together, talked, rebuilt. I should have seen it, he said one afternoon in my studio. Love makes us blind, I replied. That's why we need artists. We see what others miss. A year after the exhibition, Adrian started dating again. A surgical resident who actually laughed at his jokes and didn't check her phone during dinner. They took it slow. He was learning. As for me, I kept painting, but I never did another portrait series. Once you've painted truth that devastating, everything else feels incomplete. My name is Isabella Moreau. I'm 69 now. I've been painting for 46 years, and I've learned that the most powerful art isn't always beautiful. Sometimes it's simply honest. The witness becomes part of the story. The observer becomes the chronicler. The artist becomes the voice for those who can't speak their own pain. I painted what I saw, and what I saw changed everything. Did you like my story? And which city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments. I'm looking forward to your comments on the story. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story. With love and respect.